During a state dinner in Doha on Wednesday evening, the Emir of Qatar asked US President Donald Trump to use American pressure to bring peace in the region.
Right now, even as we gather tonight, our teams are engaged in intensive diplomacy to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to protect all civilians, especially innocent women and children, and ensure the release of all hostages. This conflict is the key to wider stability in the region, from the West Bank to Yemen to Lebanon, and time is short. The people across the region are watching, not for words, but for outcomes. They are waiting to see if this moment brings that peace. They looked at your incredible comeback, at your ability to bring together people of all faiths, and your arrival back at the White House with hope. Your message that the aid will be delivered, and perhaps that a political solution providing safety, justice, and security to all involved in the conflict can be reached. Mr. President, your involvement could catalyze a breakthrough where others have stalled, but only if done in concert with serious partners. Qatar brings the channels, the access, and the credibility. The United States brings power, leverage, and global weight. If we act together, we have a real shot at ending the bloodshed and restoring regional confidence. Mr. President, tonight we don't just mark a visit. We reaffirm a working alliance between two sovereign nations and a shared commitment between two leaders who believe peace comes from strength. Let this visit not just reinforce our alliance, but demonstrate that when leaders act, peace moves closer.
Let's bring in Faisal al-Mudahka. He's editor-in-chief at Gulf Times. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Mudahka. We do appreciate it. I do want to start with those comments from Qatar's Emir on Wednesday evening, because the Palestinian issue is obviously very important to Qatar, but there were no major announcements on this issue during Trump's visit. How do you see that?
You know, I want to stay positive, but you have seen what happened in Gaza last night, on the massacre of bombing a hospital. But I still see that there is a huge chance. But I will refer to His Highness' speech. Qatar will provide the channels and the access, and the US has to step into and bring the power. So really it's a combination of both things, and I think we have seen it always before. We don't want the escalation in Lebanon and then the escalation in Syria, and we have seen now a light in the end of the tunnel. The Syrian thing was supposed to escalate, but leaders from the region have got together and have stopped it.
And certainly Trump announcing that his intention to lift US sanctions on Syria and then meeting the transitional president Ahmed al-Sharaa is a very significant takeaway from this trip. The Gulf states that he is visiting, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, they have great economic leverage, don't they? Can they use that leverage with this administration to make this U.S. administration a stabilizing force in the region?
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing is politics. Politics, if it does not come with economic, which does not benefit politic and by relationship, which will be only an effort with no sense, right? I think the Gulf now has its leverage, the leaders, and I think the U.S. also fed up from bad talks its friends, and and the whole world is looking for the future. People, stopped wars. People, they read on wars and history and books, and now today. Our children, youth, everybody watching it on TV, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable at all. Children wants to be in a safeguard. Children want to be in schools. How many people have dismantled? This is not really acceptable. And I think the His Highness and Prince Mohammed and the effort of Erdogan have proved that with their influence in getting together and with America, have eliminated a huge problem by integrating Syria to the...
Donald Trump even said today that the lifting of sanctions on Syria was because of the pressure or the influence, in fact, of the Turkish president, the Crown Prince and Saudi Arabia, but also the Emir of Qatar. And the Emir of Qatar, he really credited with trying to de-escalate tensions. With Iran, he talked about how there are many others who would like the US to be much more hawkish with Iran, but it's trying to choose the path of peace.
I think the only solution for Iran is the dialogue. And Iranians are, it's a neighboring country. Full of talent. It's a huge land and resource, and it can be also an opportunity for the US. I mean, the Iranians themselves, they said, we welcome America to invest. So everybody understands, the language of economic and a language of sustainability. The mediation has been in Oman, and I think Qatar can play a big part on that.
All right, that is Editor-in-Chief at Gulf Times, Faisal al-Mudahka. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.